The rain hammered against the cafe windows like bullets against glass. Maya's hands were shaking as she scribbled another name on another cup. Her 10th hour of her double shift, her third day without proper sleep, and her mind was everywhere except where it needed to be. "Name?" she asked, barely looking up. "Kang Minho." She wrote it down, or thought she did. The pen slipped, the letters blurred. When she handed him the cup, he stared at it for exactly 3 seconds. The entire cafe seemed to hold its breath. He was Korean, tall enough that she had to tilt her head back to meet his eyes. Dark, unreadable, framed by black hair that fell perfectly despite the rain. His suit probably cost more than her entire year's rent. Everything about him screamed money and danger in equal measure. His voice was low, controlled, the kind of voice that didn't need to be raised to command attention. "Is not my name." Maya looked at the cup. Her stomach dropped. "Kang Loser." "Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, God. I'm so sorry. I'll remake it right now." But he was already walking out, the cup still in his hand, the door closing behind him with a finality that made her knees weak. Her coworker Jenna grabbed her arm. "Girl, do you know who that was?" "An angry customer?" "That was Kang Minho. He owns half of Koreatown, and the other half is too scared to admit he doesn't own them too." Maya's hands started shaking harder. She thought it was over. A humiliating moment she'd replay in her mind at 3 a.m. for the rest of her life, but over. 3 days later, someone knocked on her apartment door. It was 11 p.m. She was in her paint-stained sweatpants and an old college t-shirt, her natural hair wrapped in a silk scarf, her face mask still on. Nobody visited her. Nobody even knew where she lived, except she opened the door. Kang Minho stood in her hallway. Behind him were 2 men in black suits, hands folded in front of them like Secret Service agents. The fluorescent hallway light cast shadows across his face that made him look carved from marble and violence. How did you find my address?" "I own the building." Of course he did. He stepped forward. She stepped back. He entered her tiny studio apartment like he was surveying newly acquired territory, his eyes moving over her secondhand furniture, her canvases stacked against the wall, her unmade bed visible through the open space. "You misspelled my name." Her heart was pounding so hard she could hear it in her ears. "I know. Oh, I'm sorry. I was tired. I didn't mean—" "Do you know what happens to people who disrespect me?" She'd heard stories. Koreatown whispered about Kang Minho the way people whispered about ghosts. Half legend, half warning. Businesses that refused his protection burned down. Men who crossed him disappeared. Women who caught his attention, well, she'd heard different stories about them. "Please," she whispered, "it was an accident." He moved closer. She could smell his cologne. Now expensive, dark, something that probably cost more than her monthly student loan payment. "I believe you," she blinked. "You do?" "Yes." He reached into his jacket. She flinched. He pulled out a small black box. The world tilted sideways. "Which is why," he continued, his voice still that same controlled calm, "I'm giving you a choice." He opened the box. A ring sat inside, a diamond so large it looked fake, surrounded by smaller stones that caught the dim light of her apartment and threw it back like tiny stars. "Marry me," she laughed. It came out hysterical, broken. "What? You insulted me publicly. In my world, that requires compensation." His eyes met hers, and for the first time, she saw something beneath the ice, something that looked almost like amusement, almost. "You can compensate with your life or your name." That's insane. You can't just—" "I can." He said it with such finality that she believed him. "I own this building. I know you're 3 months behind on rent. I know you're a student at Seoul National University, art major, scholarship dependent on maintaining your grades. I know your visa expires in 6 months. Every word landed like a punch. I know everything about you, Maya Thompson, and now you have exactly 1 minute to decide. Her mind raced. This couldn't be real. This couldn't be happening. Men didn't just. But the ring was real. The men outside her door were real. The cold certainty in his eyes was devastatingly, terrifyingly real. Why? She managed. Why marriage? If you're that powerful, you could. 45 seconds. This is crazy. 30 seconds. Her breathing was too fast. She was going to pass out. She was going to wake up, and this would be a nightmare brought on by too much coffee and not enough sleep. 15 seconds. Wait. 10. I don't even know you. 5. The men outside shifted. She heard it. The subtle movement that said they were ready to do whatever he commanded. 4. She looked at the ring. At him. At the life she'd built here, fragile and hard-won. 3. At the diploma she was so close to earning. 2. At the alternative he wasn't saying out loud, but she heard anyway. 1. Yes. The word burst out of her. Yes, fine, yes. He snapped the box shut. Good. We have a lot to discuss. She thought he'd leave. Give her time to process, to breathe, to maybe quietly have a breakdown in peace. Instead, he nodded to his men, and they produced a folder. An actual folder, thick with documents. He sat on her second-hand couch like it was a throne. Sit. Her legs moved automatically. She sat in her only chair, acutely aware of her paint-stained sweatpants, her face mask, the dishes in her sink she hadn't washed. He opened the folder. The marriage will be legal in every sense. You'll move into my penthouse tomorrow. You'll be seen with me at business functions. You'll wear what I provide. You'll go where I tell you. This is insane, she whispered. You'll have access to a monthly allowance, more than you make in a year. Your student loans will be paid off. Your visa will be secured. In exchange, you'll play the role of my wife, convincingly. For how long? 1 year. She stared at him. 1 year of my life for a misspelled name. 1 year of your life for insulting the wrong man. His eyes locked on hers. Some people don't get years, Maya. They get minutes. Consider yourself fortunate. Her hands clenched in her lap. And after the year? Divorce, clean, quiet, compensated. You walk away with enough money to finish school anywhere you want. Start over. Disappear if you prefer. It was too much, too fast, too surreal. Why me? If you need a wife for whatever reason, you could have anyone. For the first time, something shifted in his expression. Not quite a smile, something darker. Because you're not from my world. You don't know the players, the games, the angles. You're exactly what I need. He paused. And because you looked at me, really looked at me, before you knew who I was. Do you know how rare that is? She didn't know what to say to that. He stood, and suddenly, her tiny apartment felt even smaller with him in it, his presence filling every corner. My driver will pick you up at 9 a.m. Pack light. Everything you need will be provided. He moved toward the door, then stopped, turned. And, Maya, yes, don't run, I'll find you. I always do. Then he was gone, his men following, the door closing softly behind them. She sat in the silence of her apartment for a long time. Then she looked down and realized he'd left the ring box on her table. When she opened it with shaking hands, she found a note tucked inside. You'll learn to spell my name perfectly. I'll make sure of it. M. The SUV was waiting at exactly 9 a.m. Maya had packed one suitcase, her favorite clothes, her art supplies, her laptop. She'd barely slept. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw his face, heard his voice. Don't run. I'll find you. The driver didn't speak. None of them ever seemed to speak. They drove through Seoul as morning light turned the glass buildings into mirrors. She watched the city pass by, familiar and suddenly foreign. How many times had she walked these streets, dreaming of finishing her degree, maybe staying in Korea, maybe finding something that felt like home? Now she was riding in a car that probably cost more than her parents' house, on her way to marry a man she'd met for all of 10 minutes total. The building they stopped at made her old apartment complex look like a cardboard box, all glass and steel, reaching into the sky like it was trying to pierce the clouds. The elevator required a key card. It went up and up and up. The penthouse occupied the entire top floor. When the doors opened, she forgot how to breathe. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the entire city. White marble floors, furniture that looked like it belonged in a museum. Art on the walls. Real art, the kind she'd only seen in galleries, a kitchen that was bigger than her entire former apartment, and Kang Minho, standing by the windows with a phone to his ear, speaking rapid Korean. He wore different clothes, black slacks, a white shirt with the sleeves rolled up, revealing tattoos on his forearms. Dragons, she thought, and something in Korean script. He ended the call when he saw her. "You came. Did I have a choice?" "No," he said it without apology. "Jihoon will show you to your room. We have dinner tonight. Business associates. You'll need to be ready by 7. "Ready for what?" "To be my wife." A woman appeared, elegant, older, wearing a designer dress. She smiled at Maya with warmth that seemed genuine. "I'm Mrs. Choi. I'll be helping you today." Her English was perfect, accented but clear. "Don't worry, dear. I know this must be overwhelming." That was the understatement of the century. Mrs. Choi led her through the penthouse. Too many rooms, too much space. Her bedroom was larger than her entire former apartment. The closet was walk-in and completely empty, except for a note. "Fill it with whatever you want. The cards in the drawer have no limit." He's generous, Mrs. Choi said carefully, in his own way. "He's terrifying." "That too." The woman's smile turned knowing. "But you're still here. That says something." Maya wanted to argue, but what would she say? That she was here because he'd threatened her? Because 1 year of this was better than whatever alternative he hadn't specified, but she'd understood perfectly? Mrs. Choi left her to unpack. Maya sat on the bed, a bed so soft it felt like sitting on clouds, and let herself have exactly 5 minutes of quiet panic. Then she got up. If she was going to survive this, she needed information. She explored the penthouse carefully. The living room had photos. Minho with other men in suits, all of them looking dangerous and powerful. Minho at what looked like business openings. Never smiling, always that same controlled, cold expression. One photo made her stop. Minho, younger, maybe early 20s, standing next to an older man who had his same eyes, same jaw. The older man's hand was on Minho's shoulder. They stood in front of a traditional Korean building. "My father!" She spun around. Minho stood in the doorway watching her. "He built this empire. I inherited it when I was 23, along with all its enemies, all its debts, all its blood." "I'm sorry," she said automatically. "Don't be. It made me who I am." He moved into the room and she was struck again by how he moved, like every step was calculated, like he was always aware of every exit, every threat. "The people we're meeting tonight are dangerous. They'll test you. They'll try to find weakness." "What do I do?" "Stay close to me. Don't speak unless spoken to. If anyone touches you..." His jaw tightened. "They won't. But if they try, you tell me immediately." "Why would they?" "Because you're mine now. And in my world, that makes you valuable." He reached out, took her left hand. His fingers were warm, calloused. He slid the ring onto her finger. It fit perfectly. "Wear this always. It marks you, as protected. The diamond caught the light, throwing rainbows across the marble floor. "I don't understand this world," she whispered. "You will." His thumb brushed over the ring, over her knuckle. "I'll teach you everything you need to know, starting tonight." The restaurant was exclusive, the kind that didn't have a sign that you couldn't get into unless you knew someone who knew someone. They arrived in a motorcade of black SUVs. Men in suits surrounded them as they walked in. Maya wore a dress Mrs. Choi had selected. Black, elegant, expensive. Her natural hair was styled in a way that made her feel beautiful and powerful. Diamonds at her ears, at her throat, all borrowed, all worth more than she could fathom. Minho's hand was on the small of her back, guiding her, possessive, protective. "Remember," he murmured in her ear, "you're not Maya Thompson anymore. You're Mrs. Kang. Act like it." The private room they entered was full of men and a few women, all Korean, all watching her with varying degrees of curiosity and calculation. The air was thick with cigarette smoke and tension. "Gentlemen," Minho's voice cut through the murmur of conversation, "allow me to introduce my wife." The room went silent. An older man, silver hair, expensive suit, cold eyes, stood. "Your wife? Minho, you've been holding out on us." It was sudden. Minho pulled out a chair for her. She sat, hyper-aware of every eye on her. "But when you know, you know." "She's American?" a woman asked, her tone making it sound like an accusation. "She's mine," Minho corrected, ice in his voice. "That's all that matters." The dinner was torture. Course after course of food she could barely taste. Conversation in Korean that she didn't understand. She caught only fragments, names, words that sounded like numbers. Business talk, she assumed. Illegal business. Minho's hand found hers under the table, squeezed once. A warning or comfort, she couldn't tell. Then the silver-haired man turned to her. "So, Mrs. Kang, how did you meet our Minho?" Every eye on her again, the weight of expectation, of judgment. She remembered Minho's words, "Act like it." She smiled, channeling every ounce of confidence she didn't feel. "He came into the cafe where I worked. I served him coffee." She paused, letting the moment breathe. "I've been serving him ever since." A few chuckles around the table. Minho's grip on her hand tightened. Approval or warning, she still couldn't tell. "Bold," the silver-haired man said. "I like her, Minho. Where did you find someone with spine?" "She found me," Minho said, and there was something in his voice she hadn't heard before. Pride, amusement, and now she's staying. The dinner continued. Maya survived it by staying quiet, by watching. Minho, by learning. She saw how he commanded the room without raising his voice, how men twice his age deferred to him, how the women watched him with hunger and fear mixed together, and she saw how he positioned himself always between her and everyone else. Protective, possessive, like she was something valuable he'd acquired and now had to guard. When they finally left, she was exhausted. In the SUV, Minho finally released her hand. "You did well." "I barely said anything." "Exactly. You listened, you watched, you learned." He looked at her, and in the dim light of the car, his face was softer somehow. "Park Jin, the silver-haired man, he's the most dangerous person in that room. He liked you. That keeps you alive." The casual way he said it made her stomach drop. "I thought I was protected because of you." "You are. But in this world, protection is a complicated thing." He reached up, loosened his tie. "There are rules, politics. If everyone hates you, I can't protect you from everything. But if some of them like you," he trailed off, "it makes things easier." "This is insane," she said for what felt like the 100th time. "Yes," he agreed. "But you're here anyway." They rode the rest of the way in silence. Back at the penthouse, Maya expected him to retreat to his part of the massive space, to leave her alone to process everything. Instead, he followed her to her room. She turned at the doorway. "What are you doing?" "Making sure you're settled." "I'm fine." "You're terrified." He leaned against the doorframe, all casual elegance and coiled danger. "I can see it in how you hold yourself, like you're expecting an attack." "Maybe because I was threatened into marriage 3 days ago?" "You accepted a business arrangement." His eyes met hers. "There's a difference." "Not from where I'm standing." He was quiet for a moment, studying her, then, "Take off the jewelry." "What?" "The diamonds. Take them off. They're not yours, they're borrowed. Take them off and be yourself for a moment." Slowly, she removed the earrings, the necklace, set them on the dresser. "Better?" he asked. "No." "Good, don't get comfortable. Comfortable makes you weak." He pushed off the doorframe, came into her room. She backed up instinctively. He noticed, but didn't stop. "You want to know why I really chose you?" "Because I'm not from your world," she said, repeating his words. "That's part of it." He was close now, close enough that she had to tilt her head back to hold his gaze. "The other part? You're angry. I saw it that day in the cafe. Not just tired, angry. At your situation, at your life, at whatever brought you here to Seoul to serve coffee when you have enough talent to fill galleries." He'd noticed her paintings, the ones she'd foolishly left visible in her apartment. "I need someone who's hungry," he continued, "someone who wants more than what they have, someone who'll do what it takes." His hand came up, fingertips brushing her cheek so lightly she almost thought she imagined it. "You're hungry, Maya. I can work with that." She should push him away, should establish boundaries, make it clear this was business only. But his touch felt like fire and ice at once, and she was frozen. "Go to sleep," he said, stepping back. "Tomorrow. Training starts." "Training?" "You're Mrs. Kang now. That comes with responsibilities, expectations." He moved to the door, paused. "And enemies. If you're going to survive this year, you need to learn how to navigate my world." "And if I don't want to?" He looked back at her, and his smile was sharp as a blade. "Then you'll die in it. Your choice." The door closed behind him with a soft click. Maya stood in her massive borrowed bedroom, wearing her borrowed dress, her borrowed life, and wondered what choice she'd actually made. Then she noticed something on the pillow. A book. Leather-bound, expensive, a note tucked inside the cover. "Your first lesson, know your husband." M. She opened it with shaking hands. It was a photo album. Minho's life in pictures. Childhood photos, teenage years, young adulthood. The transformation from a boy with bright eyes to the cold man who'd appeared at her door. She sat on the bed and started reading her husband's history. The man she'd married to escape a fate worse than this strange prison of luxury. And she wondered, not for the first time, what fate she'd actually sealed. 6 a.m. came too early. Maya woke to someone knocking on her door. Not Minho, but a woman in athletic wear. Blonde, beautiful, terrifying. "I'm Seoul. Minho sent me. We start training now." "Training for what?" "Everything." The gym in the penthouse was state-of-the-art. Seoul immediately started teaching her self-defense. Basic moves, pressure points, how to break a hold. "Why do I need this?" Maya asked, breathing hard after the first round. "Because Minho has enemies. Now you do too." Seoul moved like water, fast and fluid. Again, this time don't hesitate. They trained for 2 hours. Maya's body ached. Then came language lessons. Basic Korean phrases, formal and informal speech, how to show respect without showing weakness, then etiquette training, how to move in Minho's world, what to say, what never to say, how to read a room. By noon, Maya was exhausted.
Minho appeared as Seoul was leaving. He wore gym clothes, had clearly been working out somewhere else in the penthouse. "How is she?" he asked Seoul in English. Raw, but teachable. Seoul bowed slightly, a gesture of respect that made Maya realize this woman, as terrifying as she was, feared Minho. She doesn't give up. That's good. When they were alone, Minho tossed her a water bottle. "Drink." She caught it, drank deeply. "Is this what every day will be like? Until you can defend yourself, yes." He leaned against the wall, arms crossed. "My father always said, hope for peace, but train for war. Is that what this is?" "War. Always." His eyes were dark, serious. "In my
World, peace is just the breath between battles. You need to be ready." She wanted to argue, to say this wasn't her world, wasn't her war, but she was wearing his ring, living in his penthouse, going to be introduced as his wife at functions where dangerous men calculated her worth. "Why do you do this?" she asked instead. "The Mafia life. You could be anything, do anything." "You think I had a choice?" His laugh was bitter. "I was born into this. My father was born into it. It's in my blood, my name, my bones." He pushed off the wall, came closer. "Some cages are just bigger than others, Maya. Mine looks like freedom, but it's still a cage." She'd never thought of it that way, had never imagined someone like him, powerful, feared, wealthy, could be trapped too. "Then why keep me in it with you?" "Because I need you. Simple, honest, devastating. I have enemies planning moves, business rivals waiting for weakness. I need a wife to show stability. Commitment, someone who makes me look human. I'm a prop. You're a shield." He reached out, tilted her chin up so she had to meet his eyes. "And maybe, if you're smart, you'll use this year to become something more." "More than what?" "More than the woman serving coffee? More than the artist hiding her talent? More than the girl afraid to take up space?" His thumb brushed her bottom lip. "I see your potential, Maya. Now let's see if you do." He left her with those words, with her heart pounding and her mind racing. That night, she couldn't sleep. She walked through the penthouse in the dark, ending up in front of those photos again. Minho's transformation from boy to boss. "Can't sleep." She turned. Minho stood in the hallway, wearing only sleep pants, his torso bare. Tattoos covered his chest and arms, dragons, Korean script, symbols she didn't understand. His body was muscled, scarred. A map of violence survived. "I was looking at your photos," she admitted. He came to stand beside her, looking at his own history. "That boy died when I was 23, the day my father was killed." "I'm sorry." "I'm not." His voice was cold. "That boy was weak, believed in honor, in loyalty, in love. This world taught me better." "You don't believe in love?" "I believe in power, control, protection." He turned to her. "Love is a liability. It gives your enemies a target. Then why marry at all? Because a wife is expected. A wife is political. A wife is..." He trailed off, something flickering in his eyes. "A wife is useful." She should feel insulted, should feel reduced, objectified, but she'd made her choice, accepted this arrangement. "I saw your paintings," he said suddenly, "in your apartment. You're talented." "Thank you." "Why hide it? Why serve coffee when you could sell art?" "Because art doesn't pay bills, doesn't keep you fed, doesn't maintain a visa." She crossed her arms. "Not everyone has the luxury of following passion over practicality." "You do now." He moved to a nearby wall, empty, white, pristine. "Paint something here. Fill this space with whatever you want. Consider it yours." She stared at him. "You're serious?" "I don't joke about art." He looked at her, and for a moment, she saw past the cold mask to something underneath. something that might have loved beauty once before the world taught him not to. You're my wife. This is your home too. For the next year at least, make it yours. It was the kindest thing he'd said to her. Thank you, she whispered. He nodded once, then walked away. Maya stood in front of that empty wall, imagining possibilities. Maybe, she thought, this cage had more room than she'd realized. 2 weeks in, Maya was starting to understand the rhythm. Morning training with Seo-yeon, afternoons with language tutors, evenings attending functions as Minho's wife, learning to read rooms, to navigate conversations, to be the perfect accessory to his power. She was painting the wall too, late at night when the penthouse was quiet, abstract at first, then bolder. Colors and shapes that spoke of conflict and captivity and unexpected beauty. Minho never commented, but she'd catch him looking at it sometimes, something like appreciation in his eyes. Then the roses arrived, 3 dozen blood-red roses, no card. Minho came home early that day, saw them on the kitchen counter where she'd left them, uncertain what to do. His entire demeanor changed. Gone was the controlled businessman. In his place was something feral, dangerous. Who sent these? I don't know. There was no card. He was already on his phone barking orders in rapid Korean. Then he grabbed her arm. Not gentle, not careful. Pack a bag. Now. What? Why? Because someone knows where you are. Someone is sending you messages. He pulled her toward her room. And in my world, messages in roses mean only one thing. What? His eyes met hers. That they know you're my weakness, and they're coming for you. Everything happened fast. His men appeared, so many men in suits, all armed. They swept through the penthouse, checked windows, doors, cameras. Maya threw clothes in a bag with shaking hands. This was real. The danger she'd been training for, the threats she'd tried not to think about, suddenly real. Minho appeared in her doorway. We're moving you to a safe house. Just for tonight, until we know who sent those. Safe house? Somewhere even I don't publicize. He came in, started helping her pack. Efficient, practice, like he'd done this before. Maya, listen to me. This is why I needed you to train, why I needed you to be ready. I'm not ready for this. You are. He gripped her shoulders, made her look at him. You're stronger than you think. You survived your first weeks in my world. You learned fast, adapted faster. Now you need to trust me. She wanted to. God, she wanted to. Because the alternative was facing this alone, and she suddenly realized she'd started depending on him, this dangerous, cold man who'd forced her into marriage. When had that happened? The safe house was in the mountains outside Seoul. A traditional hanok, beautiful and isolated. Guards patrolled the perimeter. Minho stayed with her. That night, sitting by the fire, he told her the truth. The roses are from Park Jin's son. Park Woo-jin. He's been trying to undermine me for years. He thinks you're a vulnerability. Am I? Yes. No hesitation. But only because I've decided you are worth protecting. That decision has already been made. She looked at him across the firelight. This man who'd disrupted her entire life, who'd given her safety, entrapped her at once. Why protect me? If I'm a liability, because you're mine. He said it with such fierce possession, it took her breath away. I claimed you, married you, put my ring on your finger. In my world, that means something. It means anyone who touches you dies. The certainty in his voice should have scared her. Instead, it made her feel safer than she had in years. What happens now, she asked. Now we wait. Let Woo-jin make his move. When he does, Minho's smile was sharp, dangerous. I'll make sure he regrets ever learning your name. They stayed at the safe house for 3 days. And in those 3 days, Something shifted between them. Maybe it was the isolation. Maybe it was the danger. Maybe it was the long conversations by firelight, the way he started looking at her paintings on his phone, the way she started seeing past his cold exterior to the man underneath. On the third night, she found him on the porch, staring out at the mountains. "Can't sleep?" she asked. "Never can." He didn't look at her. Too many enemies, too many possibilities. She sat beside him. "Tell me about your father." He was quiet for so long, she thought he wouldn't answer. Then, "He was everything I'm not. Honorable. Kind. He believed the Mafia could be used for good, protecting communities, supporting families. He thought he could change things from the inside." His jaw tightened. They killed him for that kindness, tortured him first to send a message. "I'm sorry. I'm not." He finally looked at her. "His death taught me everything I needed to survive. Kindness is weakness. Honor gets you killed. The only way to survive is to be harder, colder, more ruthless than everyone else. Is that what you really believe?" "It's what I know." She reached out, surprising herself, and took his hand. His fingers were cold. "Maybe your father wasn't weak. Maybe he was the bravest one of all, because staying kind in a cruel world takes more strength than becoming cruel." He stared at their joined hands. "Why are you still here, Maya? Really? You could run, disappear. I'd find you, but you could try?" "Because..." She paused, searching for truth. "Because I chose this. And maybe because I want to see what happens. Who I become in your world. And who do you want to become? Someone who takes up space." She smiled slightly, throwing his words back at him. "Someone who stops hiding." His thumb brushed over her knuckles. "Then stay close to me. I'll show you how." The moment stretched, charged with something neither of them wanted to name. Then his phone rang. He answered, listened, his expression darkening. "We're going back. Now." He stood, pulling her up with him. Woojin made his move, and now I make mine. Seoul greeted them with rain and tension. Minho's men were everywhere. Doubled security, armed guards, the kind of military presence that said war was close. Park Woo-jin had attacked one of Minho's businesses, burned it to the ground, left a message written in spray paint. "Send my regards to your American bride." "He wants to draw you out," Minho said, pacing the penthouse like a caged tiger. "Make me angry enough to act recklessly." "Will you?" "No." He stopped, looked at her. "Because you're safe here, and that's all that matters." But Maya was tired of being safe. Tired of being the weakness, the vulnerability. "Teach me," she said. "What?" "Everything, not just self-defense, your world, your business, how things work. If I'm going to be your wife, make me useful. Make me dangerous." Something sparked in his eyes. Approval, interest. "You want to learn the game? I want to survive it. And maybe," she lifted her chin, "maybe help you win it." He studied her for a long moment, then smiled. A real smile, sharp and delighted. "All right, then let's see what you're made of." The next days were intensive. Minho taught her about his empire, the legitimate businesses, the illegal ones, the networks of debt and obligation that held his world together. He showed her ledgers, introduced her to key players via phone, explained the politics. She learned fast, absorbed it all, asked questions that made him pause, made him reconsider, made him see angles he'd missed. "You have a mind for this," he said one night, after she'd pointed out a flaw in one of his competitors' defenses. "Natural strategy. I'm an artist. We think in patterns and compositions. Your world is just a different kind of canvas." He laughed, actually laughed. "Maybe I chose better than I knew." Then came the meeting. Park Woo-jin had requested a sit-down. Neutral territory, no weapons, just talk. "It's a trap," Maya said. "Of course it is." Minho adjusted his tie in the mirror. But if I don't go, I look weak, and weakness in this world is death. Then I'm coming with you. Absolutely not. I'm your wife. Your weakness, remember. If he wants to see me, let him. But on our terms. She stepped in front of him. Use me as the trap instead. He gripped her shoulders. I won't risk you. Then teach me how not to be a risk. She met his gaze steadily. You said I'm stronger than I think. Prove that you believe it. The battle raged in his eyes. Protection versus strategy, emotion versus logic. Finally, if you do this, you follow every order. You don't improvise, you don't take risks. I promise. Swear it. I swear. He pulled her close suddenly, pressed his forehead to hers. If anything happens to you, it won't. She breathed him in, his cologne, his heat, his danger. Because you'll be there. The meeting place was a hotel ballroom. Opulent, public, supposedly safe. Woo Jin sat at the far end with his men. Young, handsome, wearing his cruelty like a designer suit. Minho and Maya entered together, his hand on her back, her head high. Kang Minho. Woo Jin smiled. And the infamous bride, the woman worth burning a building for. You cost me money, Woo Jin. Minho's voice was ice. I want compensation. Compensation? Woo Jin laughed. You took my father's respect with this marriage, showed him you could find a wife while I remained single. You humiliated him. Consider the building compensation for that. Your father respects strength, not petty revenge. My father is old. Soon I'll lead, and when I do, his eyes slid to Maya. Pretty thing, tell me, does she know what she married? Does she understand the blood on your hands? I know everything, Maya said clearly. Every eye turned to her. I know what my husband is, what he's done, and I chose him anyway. Woo Jin's smile widened. Bold, foolish, but bold. He stood. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to give me 3 of your territories. In exchange, I'll leave your pretty wife alone. No. Woo Jin stepped closer. Maybe she's not as valuable as I thought. She's worth more than your entire operation. Minho moved, placing himself between Maya and Woo Jin. And you'll never touch her. We'll see. It happened fast. Woo Jin's men moved, Minho's men moved, but Maya saw it. The real threat wasn't the obvious one. A waiter, moving through the crowd, hand going into his jacket. All her training clicked into place. Minho, down! She shoved him. The gunshot cracked through the ballroom. Everyone scattered. Minho hit the ground, pulling her with him. His men returned fire. Woo Jin's men scattered. Chaos, screaming, blood on marble floors. Minho covered her body with his. Stay down. But she'd seen something. Woo Jin running, not toward the exit, toward a service door. He's running, she said. Minho followed her gaze, then smiled, cold and deadly. Good. Let him run. I know exactly where he'll go. Security came, police. One's on Minho's payroll. They secured the scene. 2 of Woo Jin's men were down, none of Minho's. In the car afterward, Minho held her face in his hands, checking for injuries. You saved my life. You've been saving mine for weeks. That's different. I'm supposed to protect you. Maybe, she covered his hands with hers, maybe we protect each other. Something broke in his expression. The cold mask cracked. He kissed her, fierce, desperate, claiming. She kissed him back with everything in her. All the fear and adrenaline and something deeper, something that had been building since the moment he'd appeared at her door. When they broke apart, both, breathing hard, he pressed his forehead to hers again. I need to finish this tonight. Will you wait for me? Where are you going? To end Park Woo Jin permanently. His eyes were dark, determined. He came after you. He comes after you. He dies. That's the rule. Minho, wait for me. He kissed her once more, soft this time. I'll come back. I promise. He left her at the penthouse with triple security, then he disappeared into the night. Maya didn't sleep. She paced the penthouse, looking at her painting on the wall. Halfway done, a storm of color and emotion. She thought about everything. The coffee cup, the ring, the marriage, the training, the danger, the kiss. This wasn't supposed to be real. It was business, a transaction, 1 year and done. But somewhere in the chaos, it had become something else. She'd become someone else. When Minho returned hours later, blood on his shirt, but alive, whole, she ran to him. Is it done? It's done. He caught her, held her. Woo Jin won't threaten us again. Did you? He's alive, barely, but he understands now. Minho pulled back, looked at her. You asked me once why I protect you, why I claimed you. What's the answer? Because that day in the cafe, you looked at me like I was just a man, not a boss, not a monster, just someone who needed coffee. His hand came up, cupped her face. No one has looked at me like that in 10 years, and I realized I wanted more of those looks, more of you seeing me. Tears pricked her eyes. I do see you. I know. That's what terrifies me. He laughed hollow. I don't believe in love, Maya. I told you that. Love is weakness, but I believe in this. Whatever this is between us. What is it? Partnership, protection, something I can't name, but don't want to lose. He kissed her forehead. Stay. Not just for the year. Stay, and help me build something different. Stay and show me there's more than just survival. She thought about her old life. The struggling, the fear, the smallness. She thought about this new life. The danger, the luxury, the space to become. She thought about the man holding her, cold to the world but warm for her. I'll stay, she whispered, but on one condition. Anything. Teach me everything. Make me your equal, not your accessory. If I'm going to be Mrs. Kang, let me really be Mrs. Kang. His smile was genuine, proud. Deal. But you should know, you're already more than I ever expected. The barista who spelled my name wrong might have just saved my entire empire. Good. She kissed him, soft and sure. Then let's build a new one together. Outside, Seoul glittered like scattered diamonds. Inside, two people from different worlds began to forge something new. Not love, not yet, but possibility. And Maya finally finished her painting. A storm breaking into dawn, chaos becoming beauty, a woman taking up all the space she deserved. Minho hung it in the place of honor in his penthouse, where everyone who entered would see it. What do you call it? He asked. She smiled, taking his hand. The wrong name. Because sometimes the biggest mistakes lead to the most unexpected destinations. And sometimes the most dangerous man in Seoul just needed someone brave enough to spell his name wrong.